Hello everyone, and welcome to Viewpoint, coming to you from KSKC TV in Pueblo, Montana. And I'm just thrilled today to have Heidi Wallace with us today. She is our guest. She is from NCBI. And Heidi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Rosalind.
You're
happy
welcome.
To be here.
Heidi and I have done some work in the past in being on a different show. And Heidi and her organization are doing wonderful things in Missoula and in this part of the Flathead area as well. And so I just think that you're doing such good work out there. And the reason, that we're here today is to talk about bullying in schools and how bullying can affect everyone, especially the children and especially people who are coming from minorities and all that kind of stuff. And so thank you so much for being here.
Thank
I appreciate
you.
it. Tell me, what does NCBI provide to schools to prevent bullying happening?
Well, we have lots of good school-based programs right here in Missoula. We have the Middle School Respect Club program, and that's offered in all 3 middle schools. And that's an after-school program where we reach out to a real diverse cross-section of students. Some students have been targets of bullying. Some students are already identified as leaders. We've even had some students who are bullies themselves join the club. Oh. And it's a wonderful opportunity for them to create relationships across group lines, get educated about issues such as racism, sexism, homophobia, and then we spend time working on skills to be effective allies to others in interrupting bullying and prejudice. And in the high schools, we train high school students to be leaders. We train them as trainers, and they lead violence prevention and prejudice reduction trainings for all the freshmen at 2 of the Missoula high schools. And we've been doing this for 4 years, and consistently the bullying and harassment statistics around violence have reduced by over 50% with this peer-led program. And throughout the state, we offer workshops and trainings for educators and students. We have a building and inclusive school community training for educators. And then we offer the Building Bridges workshop for students, which focuses on violence prevention and prejudice reduction.
You do amazing work out there.
Thank you.
My God. Is NCBI the only organization that's doing this kind of work within this area, Heidi?
We are unique in that we do focus on violence prevention and prejudice reduction. And the workshops we provide are real inclusive and participatory. And we actually have folks reflect within about where are they getting their information, what's correct information, what are the lenses that they see the world, and then how can that impact relationships.
And Heidi, you mentioned earlier that you have actual people who bully other people involved in your program. Tell me, how did you get them enrolled in the process?
Well, with the school-based programs, we do ask teachers and counselors to nominate students.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes they're nominating the leaders within the school. Other times they're nominating students that they believe would really need this type of atmosphere to maybe open up their eyes more to how they treat others. And so we have had a few students who we didn't know it at the time. One time a student didn't come to Respect Club, and we found out the other students identified him as one of the bullies. And he's in his 2nd year of Respect Club, and he's just an amazing young person, and he's really learned a lot.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
You know that this topic is really important, not just to me, but to so many other people out there, that bullying happens to their kids, bullying has happened to themselves. And it's also kind of like a follow-up from in September or October when 5 people committed suicide because of bullying.
Yeah, that's so terrible. And as it was gained a lot of national media attention, I just hoped that people could look within their own communities to see that this type of bullying does happen every day, and students are dramatically impacted and hurt and depressed because of consistent bullying and harassment.
What would you say, Heidi, would be something that's unique to your program as to how you approach bullying in schools, or if someone comes up to you and asks you, how do I handle this situation?
What's unique is the peer-led piece. We have about 80 active high school trainers, and presenting to young people through peers is impactful because they're not listening to someone like me in front of them telling them what they should or shouldn't do. They're actually hearing from others their own experiences, often their own times of mistreatment or times when they've stepped in to be an ally to others. And listening to other people's stories, we believe, is the best way to change hearts and minds. And I think that is one of the most unique things about NCBI's approach, is that we do learn from each other.
I've heard that bit before. You have to change one heart at a time, you know, and that's and I believe in that. I really do believe in that. With the schools that you're working with currently and having these groups, what are the schools doing to prevent bullying at this time? Do you know anything like that?
Well, I know a lot about Missoula schools, and I see the commitment throughout the state with other school districts. It is something that they care deeply about. They know that bullying affects student success at school. Yeah. It affects dropout, and it affects people's spirits. And I know that in Missoula, the school district is very committed to this problem. And, you know, they do support us in the schools, which is incredible. And they're seeing the results with the data. Within Montana, we often go to rural communities. Right now, we're looking at all school districts' bullying and harassment policies to ensure that they have inclusive language that protects all students. And so we're asking schools to revisit those policies, to update with sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression, to just ensure that these institutions can protect the young people.
That is amazing. And so you must be working with school boards or representatives.
They're one of the funnels that
groups.
we try to reach out to. And we present at different conferences. We present at the Montana School Counselor Association conference and MEA conferences. And so we do try to find unique ways to reach out to educators.
What are signs, Heidi, if a parent should watch for if their child is being bullied at school? Mm-hmm. Are there signs for parents to watch for?
You know, I think intuition is the number one thing to follow. You know, parents do know their children. I think definitely a change in grades, a change in social interactions. If a student may seem more isolated or closed off, and of course drugs, alcohol, change in appetite, you know, all those things are known factors that can be a sign for bullying. But I think most important is, are they excited to go to school? Are they coming home, not talking about school? The culture within the school needs to be welcoming, open. There needs to be trusted adults within the school. And I think just having those conversations with your children, you know, is going to be the most important way to identify any problems.
I know that as I grew up, I was harassed and bullied from grade school, junior high school, and high school, and even when I first had my first year in college. And it was very difficult. I can remember how I dealt with it was being withdrawn, you know. And so what would you say the effects are of bullying later in people's lives, or how would that affect them later if they've been bullied?
Yeah, I think no self-confidence, not loving themselves for completely who they are, depression, hopelessness, and those things can last. You could probably ask anyone if they can remember a time when they were bullied, no matter how old they were, and they'll remember. Those experiences stay with us.
They do.
And I can say that I grew up in Montana, and the young people I work with heal my stories of mistreatment that I've held on to from junior high. And it's important to know that these don't leave us. They still create who we are. They create how we see the world.
I've always have thought, and because now I'm older and more mature and didn't know when I was younger, and how does someone have a conversation with their parents if you are a child being bullied? How do they tell their parents that, I'm being bullied? I know that there was a tremendous amount of shame in my family by saying that, because it meant that I wasn't strong enough.
Yeah, and sometimes, students are coming from homes where they don't feel completely 100% where they can be themselves or share when they are feeling hurt or mistreated. And that's why I think it's so important within the schools that young people do have a trusted adult that they can go to talk about things almost as a sounding board, so that they know that their feelings are validated and that it is not okay to suffer from mistreatment. And if they could just connect with one adult, I think that they can be on the road to healing.
And do people who have been bullied end up becoming bullies themselves? Have you done any research on that?
Well, we teach that hurt people hurt people.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good for you. Well, it's a truth. Well,
Yeah.
good. Tell me more about that.
We do this cycle of violence with the young people in our student workshops, and we say that to understand why a person is mistreating somebody else, to be the best ally to someone who's mistreating someone else, you need to almost step into their shoes for a moment and think about, why would someone want to hurt someone else? Because they've been hurt, they've been mistreated. And to think about all the feelings that are underneath that, whether it's a comment or a physical act or something, to think about what's fueling them to want to hurt somebody else. And that's how you can reach out across those lines and hopefully reach to that bully, if if it's a safe way to do, to just get an understanding more of where they're coming from.
Absolutely.
And maybe they need someone to be an ally to them. The bullies need allies.
That
they
is
need
true.
allies.
That
for
is
sure.
so true.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with Heidi Wallace.
I fill my mind with knowledge and wisdom. I make decisions without alcohol or drugs. I let go of the things that hold me back. I honor my body by protecting myself. One heart, one mind, one world. HIV affects everyone. Get tested.
Welcome back with Heidi Wallace, Director of Youth Programs for NCBI in Missoula. So welcome back, Heidi. Thank you. And so we've been talking about bullying and how those affect people. It can affect students in school. It can affect people